Carly, what are your thoughts on product launch, how to kind of avoid that cold start chicken and the egg phenomenon that brands can run into on Amazon?
Yeah, really great question. So I think the first thing that a lot of, sellers or vendors miss when they're entering the market is actually determining what their customer avatar is. And what I mean by that is you go into a marketplace and you're saying, hey, this water bottle is going to sell really well. But the thing that a lot of people miss is who are they targeting as a customer for this? So they know the product will probably perform well, but you have so many segments of customers. And when you're setting up your content, you want to make sure that you're targeting out to each customer set, because you might be targeting the stay-at-home mom, but you might also be targeting the athlete. And so you want to make sure that when you're setting up your content, you're targeting each segment. So that's the first thing that I think entering in and starting on a product, you really want to think about. That way, when you're building your content, you know who you're targeting to. The next thing that I think is the most important thing is Prime badging. So we see, severe lift in conversion. When we have that Prime badge, those customers have come to trust that Prime badging. A lot of customers are filtering at this point. And so it's just really important to have that Prime badging up when you're getting started as well.
Okay, so basically you either need to go Vendor Central or FBA. I guess a third option is Seller Fulfilled Prime.
Yep, so those are three really great options. Usually FBA is a little bit easier to climb on board rather than the Seller Fulfilled Prime. The requirements for Seller Fulfilled Prime is a little bit heavier, so usually FBA is the route to go, or vendor.
Okay, cool. David, any thoughts from an advertising strategy for product launch and how to approach that?
Yeah, so just taking into account exactly what Carly said, your target audience and how that lines up with your advertising strategy. Certainly, content focused on one demographic or segment will perform differently than content targeting, another type of audience. So your advertising needs to play that same role in targeting segments accordingly. So through paid search, AMS or sponsored ads, incorporating DSP, Amazon's demand side platform, and really going for a full funnel approach when launching new products. And so, a number of different strategies to really start to boost the momentum, visibility, because without that, products are very difficult to discover on the platform, especially when they're just starting out. So that's the importance of, boosting the initial impact through advertising.
Okay, awesome. So content advertising, obviously both really important drivers to sales on the platform.
Absolutely.
None of that matters if the product isn't in stock. So Carly, can you just talk about, that issue I know that brands run into on the 1P side where, Amazon's not ordering enough, so customers aren't seeing the product, etc. And then I know the same thing can happen on the 3P side. Can you just speak to that in general?
Yeah, absolutely. So coming from the 3P side, I have a little bit more expertise in that side.
Sure.
You definitely want to stay on the ball with what your inventory levels are at, because when you go out of stock, you lose that sales velocity, and that's really difficult to get back up. So with that, you want to make sure you can actually set alert and messaging to email yourself if you get too low. There's a lot of FBA alerts that you can set up. Similar with your POs, you want to make sure that you're monitoring these POs when they come in, and you're making sure that you're you're really thinking through your decisions when you're making these decisions on approving the POs. And I know sometimes when you get bulk buys, you might not like the cost as much, but you really just want to think about what happens if you go out of stock.
Okay.
So it's really important to just make very educated decisions and not just kind of rapid fire decline those POs.
Okay, got it. So basically ensuring that product is consistently in stock so you get that momentum increase, especially in the beginning. Okay, so we talked about content, inventory, advertising. Any other strategies around kind of initially spiking that relevancy for a product to make sure that we get the flywheel spinning as fast as possible?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that I think is really important is reviews. So Amazon reviews, I know for myself as a customer and what we've seen within Amazon internally, a lot of customers are filtering out to a 3-star or a 4-star review. So if you have 0 reviews, you're getting filtered out essentially.
Yep.
So that's really important. And I know with joining Amazon, overcoming that cold start of reviews is very tricky. So there's a couple things. One thing is buyer-seller messaging. Make sure that that's turned on. And what that actually is, you can set, this is on the 3P side, you can turn that on. you can actually create a template so that when customer purchases your product, you send out an additional message to them. Really awesome examples for Moscow Mule mugs, for example. I had a client that I worked with, and they sent out a recipe for a Moscow Mule. And it was just another way to touch that customer again and kind of say, hey, I care about you. Could you leave me some feedback? And that's something that's free, it's simple, and it can be automated. And so that's just the little things you want to start looking into, making sure, enroll in the Vine program, take a look at early reviewer. There's a lot of options out there that you can take a look at.
Okay.